I'm good, thank you. How are you, Alexis? Sorry for my
Doing.
squeaky chair.
Well, that's okay. Just don't move around too much.
Right.
Thanks for helping me explain. Today, I'm going to have you help me explain some phrasal verbs. So, remember phrasal verbs, we have a verb and a preposition, and we change the literal meaning to something different.
That's right. So you take a verb, and I think this is probably exclusive to English. You take a verb, and then you take a position, like up, down, in, out, and then it means something completely different. Yeah.
Yes.
It's one of the most stressful things, I think, for language learners.
Yes, but I think especially for students that are working in the United States, everybody uses phrasal verbs in business, at home. So once you get the hang of them, hopefully you can start using them in your speech. So can you show us our phrasal verbs on the screen?
Yep, they're there. Yep, so we have...
I forgot. Yeah. All right. So, what is the past tense of take?
The past tense of take is took.
Yes. And the past participle?
The past participle is taken.
Yes. Good. So, with phrasal verbs, you'll use these in all the tenses. So, just remember those: take, took, taken. All right. Let's start with take away. If I hand you this cup and I say, hey, can you take this away? What do I mean?
Well, away means somewhere else. Like, if I say go away, it means go, I don't care where you go, just not here. Okay? So, yeah.
Right.
So, far from me. Far from me is away. So, take away, take something away is take something, put it in the kitchen, put it in the living room, I don't care, just not here.
Yeah, basically taking it like from one place to another.
Yeah. However, we use the word takeaway for food, and it means something a little different. Like, I'm going to order a takeaway. What's that about, Alexis?
Right. That's when you order the food, usually on the phone, and then you go to the restaurant and pick it up yourself. So you don't use delivery, you don't dine in, but you get takeaway.
Right. So you buy it in the restaurant, but you eat it at home, and you bring it with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Usually, if you're driving home and you don't want to cook, you just stop and pick something up somewhere.
Pick up a pizza, put the pizza in your car. There's no point paying a Deliveroo driver because you're going home anyway, so you might as well wait for 20 minutes for the pizza and just go home. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I use takeaway because I know it'll be faster for me to go get it than for a delivery driver, maybe on like a Friday night or something when it's busy.
Sure. When they're all fully booked, yeah.
Good. All right. Then in blue, we have take up. This one has two definitions. So the first one, to occupy, usually time or space. I could say my classes take up most of my time during the day.
Yep. You could also say, I have an old sofa and I want to throw it away, which means put it in the trash, because it's taking up too much room in my living room. So to take up is to occupy space, usually in a bad way. Like it's taking up space.
Yeah, usually negative. That's a good point. Yeah, the surfboards are taking up all the room in the...
How long are those surfboards, Alexis?
The longest one I have is 9 feet. So she's pretty long.
Wow.
Okay. She takes up a lot of space.
That's like 2.5 meters. That's massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get it in and out of the house or apartment?
Carefully.
Yeah, I thought so.
You have to know how to maneuver and turn.
You don't have a collapsible IKEA one or one with hinges or anything? No, nothing like that. Hasn't been invented.
Yeah, they have more for larger boards on like the 11 to 14 to 20, maybe not 20 feet, but like for stand-up paddle racing, they have ones that can break down into pieces. But usually, because it's in the water, It's usually surfboards they can't be in two pieces.
Right. They'll snap. Too weak. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So we also can take up a new hobby, a new job. Is there anything, Jerome, that you want to take up this year?
I'd like to do a pottery course. Yeah. However, the pottery is not the hard part. The hard part is drying the clay, which means you need to have a room dedicated, like a giant kiln or oven, which, it's quite expensive and requires a lot of heat. So it's a difficult hobby. But I'd like to take up pottery.
Is there not a place like you could go that has a kiln and take a class?
Maybe. It might be possible. Yeah. I'd like to do something independently and not be dependent on some organization. Because they could be a bit expensive. Things like that usually are here.
Yeah. I took a ceramics class here and it was $30 an hour.
Okay. Yeah. So what about you, Alexis? Do you want to take up anything new this year? We also say to take on, like to accept a challenge, to take on a hobby or to take up a hobby.
Or in business English, you can say, like, I took on the role of lead supervisor as well.
There we go, to accept a responsibility. That's right. Very good.
I don't know about, like, take up and take on a new hobby because I'm pretty busy, but I do want to try pickleball with my dad, and kite surfing is the other one that they do here that I haven't tried before.
Very good.
All right. Next in red, we're going to go counterclockwise. We have off. Take off. What does that mean?
Take them off slowly, baby.
Take it off is one. Yes, remove clothes.
So that's the opposite of put on, is to remove clothes, to take off.
Yes, I took off my jacket. I took off my shoes when I went in the house. What about if I say my podcast is taking off?
Well, in this, it would be like a metaphor where your podcast is like a rocket. And an aeroplane, a helicopter, or a rocket, or even a bird, is either flying, which means in the air. It's landing, which means it's coming down to the land. Easy to remember. This is the land. It's landing. And when it's leaving the land, it's taking off. So if you're scared of flying, for example, the two scariest moments are landing and taking off. Those are the worst parts for people who are scared of flying. So leaving the ground. And I guess in this case, for a podcast, it would mean that your podcast has been, until now, like a sort of sick bird that cannot fly, and it's finally getting into the air.
Yes. It's like when the little bird leaves the nest and starts to fly. Okay, excellent. Now, in orange, take apart. What's something...
That's quite a rare phrasal verb. I haven't heard that in a while. Take apart.
Yeah, actually, me neither. But it's a good one. Especially it makes me think of like broken appliances. Have you ever had to take anything apart to fix it?
I wouldn't say I fixed it, but I took it apart to inspect it, and then I couldn't put it together again. Yeah, I remember I bought a watch. It was a beautiful, it was kind of a kinetic watch. So it didn't have a battery. It required hand motion to charge. Yeah, you had to do this a few minutes every day. And that would charge a little mechanical spring inside of it. And it broke. And I had this wonderful idea that I was going to take it apart and fix it. But I don't know anything about watches. And I took it apart, and then I lost half the pieces, and then I threw it away. So yeah.
So you destroyed it.
Okay. It was already broken, but I destroyed it further.
You took it to the next level.
Exactly. So to take apart is to disassemble. And that's the interesting thing about phrasal verbs is a phrasal verb will normally be two small easy words that compensate for one difficult word. So disassemble is maybe a complicated word, But in English, we like to use like little combinations of smaller words instead. So instead of saying disassemble, which is a little bit intellectual, we might say,
Right.
I took it apart, which means the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's common speech, you know.
Exactly.
Most people don't say, well, today I disassembled my television. They say I took it apart.
It's perfectly fine, and you might sound a little academic, but in regular speech, it sounds a little bit strange, a little bit robotic, maybe a bit elitist as well. So
Yes, yes. Once you get to, you know, that I would say B1, B2 level, I think you need to not use so formal speech and
yeah.
try to use phrasal verbs in your writing, in your speech.
So that's the interesting thing about a lot of people who are learning English and come from a Latin background, i.e., Spanish or Italian. So, for example, the word flood, right? When the water level is very high, we'd say it is flooding. But we also have the word in English, inundated.
Ah, yes.
Now, a lot of my Spanish learners, because the Spanish for flood is, you know, is pretty much the same as inundated. So they will use the word inundated, which is absolutely fine, but most native English speakers will not know what inundated means.
Right.
So yeah, so they sound a little bit like they've gone to Oxford or something, you know?
Yes. Like they want to make sure you know they're intelligent.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's not the intention, but that's why it's good to be aware of how to use informal speech as well. So you don't come off rude or like you have a big ego or something.
Exactly. Humble. To come across as humble. Yeah.
Polite.
Very good. So the next one we see is to take down. I see this one.
Yes. I think this one you can use, you know, in your English classes with your teacher, maybe at work as well, to write something down. And nowadays, usually we don't write maybe with a pen, but if you type it in your phone and your notes, that's also taking it down. Like a phone number you can take down or an address.
So take down is the same as write down, but what's the difference between writing and writing down? Is there any difference between the two?
I would say writing is just like very general. It could be an essay, a composition, it could be a note you wrote, but take down is like jot down a note.
Yeah, and it's usually some information you need to keep as well.
Right.
So if I say,
you
Alexis,
don't want to forget.
Take this down, okay? That would mean like write this down, memorize it. What I'm about to say is going to change everything, and you're going to need a written record of this. It's going to be on the test. Write this down. So keep it and record it.
Giving a lesson and I'm writing something important, I'll say, hey, take this down. Make sure to write this down.
So make a note of it, basically. Make a note.
Yes.
Very good.
So you don't forget later. Okay, in purple, take after. You can take after your parents, your grandparents, and how do we take after them?
Well, you could take after them, like you could have some of the same traits. Traits are usually good characteristics, like maybe you're very decisive, or maybe self-disciplined, or flaws, which are like the bad characteristics, like lazy or incompetent. So you could take after one of your parents, which means you have the same personality as them, or you could take after somebody physically, which means you have the same nose, the same eyes, the same hair color. Exactly. So what about you, Alexis? Who do you take after more, your mom or your dad?
Definitely my dad.
Okay.
We have the same large nose and hair color, and my mom, I more take after her personality, I would say.
Right. Okay. Very good. Perfect. So that's to take
after. What about you?
That's a bit tricky because my mom looks like my dad. I think I'm probably a bit inbred, so it's kind of hard to know. Like both my mom and my dad have big noses, kind of similar hair color, so it's hard to know.
You'll have to put a picture in the comments.
Yeah, they were probably cousins. So yeah.
Well, Ireland, you know.
Yeah.
We have the same in the U.S. too. You know, those southern states.
Yeah, those little communities where People don't come in or go out. Exactly, yeah.
Okay, in pink, take 2. This is one that first you might take up a hobby, but once you have started to enjoy it and it's a part of your regular routine, you've taken to it. So you take to things or you don't. If you don't like them, you didn't take to it. Is there something you've tried in the past that you did not take to?
I didn't take to. Good question. I'm sure there's plenty. Let's see.
Have you ever tried to learn any other languages besides Spanish?
French. I've tried to learn French for years in school. It was taught to me very badly. We just sort of learned the verbs robotically. We sort of chanted them like we were doing the times tables. I never took to it. It was too irregular. If you think English has bad phonetics, French is just vindictive. It hates you. So you just have like 10 vowels, and then it means ouais. And that's it. So it's. I never took to French. I took to Spanish a lot easier. It was kind of more logical, easier to pick up. But I never took to French.
More similar to English. Some of the words are even the same.
I've also heard of people and animals taking to somebody. So this weekend I visited my mother-in-law on her farm, and she had a cat. And I was very happy because the cat took to me immediately. What does this mean, Alexis? It took to me.
If it was a cat, it would, rub up against you, love you, want to be around you. So if the cat took to you, it like fell in love with you right away.
Exactly. Very good. So yeah, how about you, Alexis? Can you think of a time where maybe a friend of yours introduced you to someone and you took to that person instantly?
Oh, definitely. Like in my travels, I have hit it off, you can also say, with people pretty quickly. I made a lot of friends like in hostels. When I used to teach scuba diving, I met a lot of people. That was pretty cool, meeting people from all over the world. And I have a friend that we met in Honduras, and we are still friends today. And she visited me when I was in Florida last time. So we really took to each other.
Very good. All right, perfect. And is that our last one, or do we have one more?
Nope. We have officially gone over them. So let's try to practice with these. And then as you guys are listening, you can try to see if you can see which phrasal verb we need to use in the sentence. So can you read the first sentence there?
Okay. The first one is sorry for my voice. The secretary began to the message. The secretary began to the message. What could that be?
Would that be take down or take apart?
Well, I don't think the secretary would disassemble the message, so I think it would be to take down the message.
Yes, good.
Perfect. Okay.
And
the next one, he wearing a baseball cap since his hair started thinning more noticeably. I want to look at this here. When your hair starts thinning, what does it mean when your hair, as a verb, to thin? What does that mean?
It's when, as you can see with Jerome, you have less hair. Your hair starts to maybe fall out more when you brush it, and it's not very full or have any volume.
Thanks for using me as an example. But yeah, it's true. I'm starting to slowly look like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. I've got the receding hairlines here. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, fun times.
I didn't think your hair was thinning, but you were showing it.
So no, I'm covering it up pretty well, Yeah. Some people who have thinning hair, they do something called a comb over, where they extend their hair and then they lay it back, like they're trying to fold it over itself, which I think is not a good look. Yeah.
No, because you can still see their scalp because they don't have enough hair to cover it completely.
That's right. So instead of doing a comb over, he wearing a baseball cap. So which one would this be, Alexis? A baseball cap.
He took two. He started making that a habit every day, wearing a baseball cap.
Very good. He took to wearing a baseball cap since his hair started thinning more noticeably. More noticeable. Okay, the next one we have number 3. We the engine to see what the problem was. Now, an engine is made of lots of pieces. So how do we say to disassemble, Alexis?
That one, as you remember, we said take apart. So here we're going to use the past tense. We took the engine apart. You can put the object in the middle to see what the problem was.
That's right. Very good. So with a lot of phrasal verbs, we can put the preposition like away, to, after, up, off, in the middle, or at the end. We can move them around. I could say, pick up the pizza, or pick the pizza up. Exactly.
Not all. There's some that you can't, but yeah, most of them you can.
Very good. Whenever we use a word like a pronoun, and by pronouns I mean me, you, him, her. If we ever use a pronoun, it has to be in the center. So we can say, please pick me up, but we can never say, please pick up me.
Right. That's a mistake that I hear sometimes is the word order gets switched there a little bit.
That's right.
So be careful with that.
Okay, the next one. These files, a lot of disk space. So I guess we're talking about a hard drive, maybe with like 1 terabyte of space. And this movie might be, for example, let's say 6 or 8 gigabytes, which is a huge movie.
Right. So in this case, if you guys said take up, you got it correct.
Very good. These files take up a lot of disk space. And that is, of course, in a bad way because you have a limited amount of space. Very good.
Right, that negative.
What about you, Alexis? What takes up the most space on your phone? Photos?
Photos, yeah. Photos. I don't use my phone. I more use my computer for things that I save. But on my phone, photos, videos,
right,
applications.
Yeah. I don't have that many applications, to be honest, but photos and videos take up a huge amount of space. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. I tend to delete mine, but I know some people keep their photos on their phone forever, which is a good idea.
Okay, the next one we have, he looks like his mother. He, her. So what was that we said about resembling somebody, maybe genetically?
Yes, take after. He took after her.
He looks like his mother. He takes after her. Very good. He takes after her. Very good. Perfect. Yeah, that means he would have a lot of the physical or maybe characteristics.
Yeah, maybe he has his mother's patience or her eyes.
Very good. All right. Yes. I remember the movie Harry Potter. Everyone would constantly compliment Harry Potter and say, oh, you have your mother's eyes and your father's personality. And
yes, that's true.
Okay, the next one. I was a bit worried when an official came and something my passport.
Okay. Well, if he removed it from you, took my passport away.
Very good. I'll write this one down. Took my passport away. That's right. Very good.
Yes, that would be not a good situation.
Not great. So you're going through immigration. They take your passport. They say, give me a minute. They go into another room. That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Then they say, come in here with us.
Exactly. And then the latex gloves come out. Exactly. Yeah. Here.
So we hear, yeah.
Okay. The plane. So there are 2 things a plane can do. A plane can leave the ground or come to the ground. So when it comes to the ground or the land, We call that to land. The plane landed. But that's not a phrasal verb. What's the other one, Alexis? The plane.
When we go up in the air, the plane took off. Took off.
Very good. The plane took off at 8:30. Very good. It left the ground. Very good.
Yes. So if you're traveling, you might say, "Oh, my plane takes off at 1:30."
Very good. Yeah. I'm just doing this in the past tense because in English, the past tense is usually a lot easier than the present tense. It's easier to think of something that happened once than something that happens every day. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay, the next one. I left it on a coat hanger. Oh, well.
We took my jacket off. Yes.
I took my jacket off. Very good. To remove clothes and left it on the coat hanger. Perfect. He, the position supervisor last month.
So he took up in that case. He accepted the responsibility.
Very good. So new position, new responsibility. He took up the position. Okay. So he wasn't the supervisor last month, but he is this month.
Right.
Yeah.
He got promoted.
Perfect. Can you this phone number for me? Now, I guess this is, you're not just going to write it on a piece of paper and throw it away. You're going to write it on a piece of paper and you're going to keep it for a long time. So this would be, can you
take this phone number down for me?
Perfect. Can you take this phone number down for me? Very good. Her singing career has just begun to, like a bird learning to fly.
Yes. Take off.
Take off. Very good. All right. It's
a nice way to say like a compliment to somebody, like, "Oh, your new business venture is really taking off."
Exactly. It's leaving the ground. It's just starting to fly. Very good. The next one, the gun to clean it. Okay. Well, I suppose a gun has lots of mechanical and moving parts. So if you want to clean it well, you would have to disassemble it. So it would be
take apart.
She
took apart.
Took apart the gun to clean it. Very good.
So this one, we blank these chairs, blank we don't need them, is the movement phrasal verb. Take these chairs away.
Very good. I don't care where you put them, just not here. Take these chairs away. We don't need them. Very good. Now, remember the word, if a movie is occupying a lot of space on your hard drive, we would say it is, Alexis?
Taking up space.
Taking up. So, also with time, okay? Time is limited. You have a terabyte on your phone, but you also have only 24 hours a day. So I'll try not to
take up.
Very good. Too much of your time.
Yeah, I like that line. You can use that in meetings with your friends.
That's right. I'll try and do this quickly. I'll try to expedite everything.
Yeah, I'm being respectful of your time.
Okay. I have waking up very early.
We can make this a negative sentence and say, I have not taken to.
There we go. Taking to. So this is a new habit. I have to take to waking up very early. In this one, I have to include the word to because in English, it's very rare that we can connect just two verbs directly together. If they're a modal verb like will or can, we can just stick them together because they don't care. But normally we say I have to, I need to, and in this case, I have to take to waking up very early. So I need to learn this new habit. I have to get used to waking up very early.
Right. Okay. And then after you do, you have taken to waking up very early.
Very good. I hope the children don't. Well, I don't know what was wrong with grandfather. But I hope the children are not going to be like their grandfather, maybe physically or in terms of personality.
Yeah, either one doesn't sound good. I hope they don't take to take after. Excuse me. Take after their grandfather.
There we go. All right. So maybe their grandfather was maybe he had thinning hair at a very early age, or maybe he had some very undesirable flaw in his personality.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he had thinning gray hair at a young age.
And a gambling addiction. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He lost the genetic lottery completely. Yeah.
He was one of those chronic bingo players.
Okay, and this looks like a new hobby. So Chris has
taken up. In that case, if it's new, taken up jogging.
Very good. And we see the verb to have. So this is going to be the present perfect. So we need to use that third column. Chris has taken up jogging. And this typically means very, very recently. Okay, I have just dropped my phone. I have just taken up jogging. This is something new.
Yes. So these sentences, if you guys are watching on the video, you can see the different ways to use it in different tenses. Take, takes, taken up, taken, took. So just remember those phrasal verbs will still use all of the different tenses.
That's right. So remember that the verb itself is completely flexible. You can do anything you want with the first verb. Future, past, present, whatever you like. The preposition up doesn't change. Because if you change that, you change the meaning. But the verb is flexible.
The verb is flexible, not the preposition.
That's right.
Well, I think that covers it for today. Any other comments about the take phrasal verbs?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you again for helping me explain these, as always. And thank you guys for listening to our podcast. And we'll talk to you again soon.
All the best.